Good morning. Good morning. Where is my head at this moment?
We're off to a good start, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and I'm glad to be back for another episode of to talk about the Toros. I know last week it was kind of interesting to say the least. For those of you that were present last week, guys, appreciate all of your patience. Hopefully none of that happens this week. But I want to give a huge shout out right now to Mike Reyes, and I almost dropped my phone from the desk. That's just great. Huge shout out to Mike Reyes, Stampede Vice President. I'm doing real good. I'm doing real well, Mike. Doing it real well. Just had a late day at the office. That's why like the whole show was kind of delayed back to like almost 8 o'clock. But I mean, what can we do? Work is a priority. Huge shout out to Jorge Pedraza as well. En vivo! Man, I am so hyped up for today's episode. We have a lot to talk about. And we've got almost a whole squad. Jacob had to be absent this week because of work. And but we do have Cesar. We do have obviously Ray on our show, but we'll introduce y'all to them in just a quick little bit. I do want to let y'all know that if you guys have missed any part of the podcast, you can check it out on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, and any other podcasting platforms. And if you're listening to us through the podcast audio, we go live every Wednesday afternoon. I can't even say 7 p.m. because it's probably just going to be later depending on how things go.
Just say Wednesday evening, bro.
Wednesday evening. Let's just keep it simple as that. Not 7. It's gonna be on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Down in the Valley, and on our Facebook Live, facebook.com/Down in the RGV. Be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Click on that little bell so you'll get notified whenever we do go live or we post a video on our YouTube channel. And also, while you're at it, now that you're already here and I kind of got your attention, be sure to click that little like button that's down there. And of course, share the stream with all of your friends. And obviously, I want to thank the Beautiful Game Network for all of their support to the Down in the Valley podcast. Huge thank you to the BGN sponsors, Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. And of course, our sponsor, Natural Beauty Spa. And finally, I'll take the time to thank all of the Down in the Valley patrons: Jeff Strong, Harry Austin, Javier Ochoa, Gilbert Guajardo, Eddie De La Garza, Santos Cisneros, Johnny Reese, and of course, the Stampede VP, Mike Reyes. If you'd like to help support the podcast financially while earning exclusive perks as you do so, just go to patreon.com/DownInTheRGV to sign up for all our available tiers. But anyway, having said all of this necessary mumbo jumbo that no one really cares about, but I kind of have to say it, but not just kidding. Don't get mad at me, BGN. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Anyway, let's go ahead and give a huge welcome to our I was gonna say guests, but our co-hosts for today. He hasn't been here for a while, but he's out there. He's always there lurking behind the scenes, helping us down in the valley. We've got our in-house golfer / sim racer, Cesar Cortez. Oh, and photographer too, Cesar Cortez. Cesar, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Edson. It's actually really nice to be able to have the chance to be on the podcast again. I can't tell you how many times I've been wanting to do this, but life gets in the way, especially at this age. But no, I can't complain now. Now that I got the opportunity, we got so much to talk about. We got the San Antonio match, the El Paso match, sort of kind of, we'll touch up on that. Not to mention our newest signing that we'll touch up later on.
Definitely as well. Like you mentioned, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. It's just a short amount of time. So let's go with our recurring guest, and that is Ray Silva of South Texas Border Sports. Ray, how are you doing?
Hello, Edson and Caesar. Thanks for allowing me to be here tonight. To all the patrons, hello, welcome aboard. Happy to be here again to talk some soccer. And let me allow to use this hashtag for tonight. SAFC loves opposing late equalizers.
Honestly, you are not wrong, and I'm not the only one to say that. I was actually on the Striker Tejas USL podcast yesterday. Since I am going to be a recurring guest with them, or a member, actually to say, and even Jonathan Check, who covers San Antonio for the Striker, he said something along those lines when he talked about San Antonio. It just seems that they just aren't mentally capable to maintain a lead, especially against RGV. But we're not a San Antonio podcast. We are an RGVFC podcast. So let's move on. All right. So first matter of tonight. Before we talk about the South Texas Derby, just real quick little recap. RGVFC, they presented their third kit, their third Puma kit, which will be used on June 16th, if I'm not mistaken, against Austin Bold for National, or actually World Sea Turtle Day. And I really like it. So basically, it is a green Puma kit, and unlike the home and away kits, it is sponsored by the city of South Padre Island and Sea Turtle Incorporated. What I like about it the most is that for every kit that is purchased, a portion of that money will be donated to Sea Turtle Inc. To help the conservation of sea turtles in the beaches of South Padre Island. Design-wise, I really like it. It's really, I don't think it's customized. I haven't seen the template before, to be honest, not even with the European teams. So it's probably a brand new template that I guess the Toros are going to be one of the first ones to use. And I definitely have not seen it in the 2021 Puma catalog. So there could be some sort of exclusivity right there, but don't quote me on that. But overall, I really like it. Ray, Cesar, whoever wants to take the lead on this, what did you guys think of the third kit?
I absolutely love it. It is a fantastic kit. Can't wait to get my hands on it. And Edson, didn't we have a conversation where we were calling for like a third kit that it would be something honoring someone or helping out a nonprofit organization? Didn't I call that shot?
Yes, you did. And I believe it was the episode after the Ron Patel interview.
Exactly. So it was something that I wanted to just give myself a little love there for a second. But yes, absolutely love the design on it. Can't wait for our next home match to get inside the pro shop before the match and get my hands on a kit like that.
I will tell you this much. The person who was in charge of making that kit into fruition is a let's just say he watches our show week in and week out. So you must have been a huge influence in that aspect. So kudos to you, Ray, for bringing up that suggestion. And I think it just goes to show that, you know, this RGVFC front office listens to us. And so keep being vocal on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Keep vocal, keep showing your support. Obviously, criticize what needs to be criticized, and there will be plenty to criticize, especially on the pitch. And we'll talk about that when we talk about this South Texas Derby, so you guys can get an idea. But show your opinions. Show the RGB front office that you care. They listen. They see whatever you post. So be a proactive fan base because it works. Trust me, it works. I think they've shown it time and time again that they listen to what the fans. They may not implement everything that you say, but at least they're out there. They're out there. They're out there lurking somewhere. Anyways, so Cesar, what are your thoughts on the kit?
Well, the one thing that I love, no hexagons. I love it. I love it because we
awkward.
had this. Don't get me wrong, the primary jersey, it's really nice, but you saw at the beginning of the season how many were going with that pattern. I
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
I
that's
believe it
true.
was USL memes on Twitter they actually brought that up.
Yeah, because it was Austin Bold, obviously New Mexico United with their third kit, then Indy 11, and I think the only Puma team in the USL Championship that didn't use the hexagons was Oakland Roots. Other than that, in one way or another, the other USL teams had this hexagon template.
Gotta admit, it looks nice with the blue though, and it's nice to see a third kit. I don't think this is the first time RGV has had a third kit in their history, have they? They're saying this isn't
You're
the
not
first time.
wrong. You're absolutely not wrong there, Caesar. Inaugural year, they went with the all blackout kit with Nike because they had the primary white top with blue bottoms, and then they had the orange top. Um, the they had an
Orange
orange top.
top, white shorts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and then they had the Nike all blackout. So that was the third uniform for that season.
Correct.
And it's nice to see this one because with the recent freeze that we had, it made national news. All the sea turtles that were frozen within that week of the deep freeze, and to see the community of South Padre just being able to come together to help all those sea turtles recuperate and send them back into the wild. I think it's a really, really fitting, and yeah, it pretty much pays homage to something that's local as well, and it's for a good cause.
Yeah, I definitely love it. I can't wait to get that kit in my hands. And I think, and you know what the best part was is not only did the RGVFC fan base love it, fan bases around the USL landscape were very vocal about how much they loved this kit from RGV. And I do not think we've ever had a kit that made such an impact on a national level, national USL level, than this one. And just I think it's just the fact of that this isn't just any other kit. This is a kit launched for a good cause. And so I've seen even USL memes wanting one. I've seen San Antonio fans put aside their hatred for RGV and mention that they really loved the kit. And so this is going to be I think it's a very successful kit. I wonder if it's sold out yet, but even then, it was pretty popular. So hats off to the planners, the designers, and to the RGB front office and Puma for releasing such a beautiful kit. And as I mentioned, it will be used against Austin Bold on June 16th for World Sea Turtle Day.
June 16th. That's a Wednesday.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the Wednesday.
Yes.
I think I'm actually going to be able to attend that match.
Sweet. You'll be able
Awesome.
to take our headshots in.
Yep.
Wow, way to put him on the spot, Ray. But anyway, moving on. I do want to get your thoughts in the chat. So guys, I want to see what you guys think in the chat. Did you like this kit? Did you not like this kit? I want to get y'all's feedback. We will be going back into the chat later on, but let's continue on to the actual meat and potatoes of the show, which is the South Texas Derby that was played last Saturday. So right off the bat, that was my first impression. It didn't help that I had a long day, I had to go to Houston, turn in my apartment, make the drive back to McAllen. Apparently something happened in Odom that they blocked off the Highway 77, so we had to take the country road. So at the end, I was like, it kind of exasperated. By the time I got there, I couldn't see outside of the car because everything was filled with all of my stuff that I brought back here to McAllen that was left from my apartment. And then I saw the lineup. Oh boy, what can I tell you about that lineup? Interesting to say the least. And I'll let you take the lead in this, Ray.
This was a lineup. Had it been an Eastern Conference team, no problem. But you're battling your deepest rival. It's a derby game. Yes, I know you didn't have Elvis and Mo. That switch is understandable, but everything else beyond that, whoo, man, oh man. I kind of like, I was like, wow. Like, if this is what we're gonna go out and die with, let us just park the bus for a while and let's see how much San Antonio can throw at us for a long time before either we give up a goal or two.
So the lineup for this match against San Antonio was Tyler Derrick in the goalkeeper position. That's not a surprise. Then you had Camden Riley as the right back. Adrian Vera as the left back. There's one surprise right there. Arturo Dispe and Eric Pimentel as the center backs. No surprises there. Okay, that's fine. Rodrigo Lopez, Josue Soto as holding midfielders. At least it's what it seemed like to me. And then Christian Sorto. A little bit more behind. Let me tell you exactly. Yes. So this time Christian Sorto was playing more of a midfield role rather than a winger role. At least that's what the USL has him with. Then up on top, it was Babukar Jai as the striker. Then out on the wings, John Henry Sanchez and Alexis Cerritos as your wingers. The Toros started off, I guess you can say, they started like they ended the last South Texas Derby. You know, putting pressure, the high pressure on the San Antonio defense, forcing them to turn over the ball in a very dangerous part of the field. And however, the Toros had multiple opportunities to score, and either the shot was too weak or the shot went straight towards Matt Cardoni. When you're in a match as tight, especially at Derby, such as against San Antonio, and you're doing the hardest part, which is trying to take the ball away from San Antonio with the high pressure, force them to turn over the ball, and you are in a 1v1 position in front of Matt Cardoni, you gotta be more accurate with the shots. You have to take advantage of the situation, take advantage of the momentum that you have. Because if you don't, well, you saw what happened with San Antonio. San Antonio, after the injury of Victor Gyro, aka PC, in the 12th minute, San Antonio started dominating the Toros. They started shooting up on Tyler Derrick. Tyler Derrick was jumping left and right and up, you know, getting that ball and avoiding it going into the goal. And then it was around the 40th minute where Marcus Epps scores the opening goal for San Antonio FC. And the game continued to be mostly in favor of San Antonio, even in the second half. And it just didn't seem, for me, my observations, it didn't I couldn't see where the Toros were going to be able to get the momentum back, get some shots on goal, because you look at the map on the USL website that tells you exactly where and when the Toros made some shots, whether it's on target, off target, or blocked. And I posted this on the striker in my takeaways. Most of the opportunities that the Toros had were before that 15 minutes before Victor Gyro gets injured, which is when they were dominating, and after the Emil Cuello red card. Other than that, it was all San Antonio.
I'll take the initiative here. After San Antonio lost PC, you're absolutely right. They kind of like went to that full attack mode. And I just kind of felt that change for San Antonio gave them that second wind after withstanding RGV's pressure. Now, on the flip side, you kind of saw another issue that RGV is facing. It's kind of going on the squad depth. Adrian Vera, this is our first time seeing him in extended play time. Same thing for Camden Riley. It might have been his second cameo. But now we have a pretty good idea that those two aren't going to be the necessarily flank guys coming in to do the work that you would see a Carter Manley would do. Now, also another bullet point that I want to add to your thing there, Edson, is having the presence of Juan David Cabezas. This is our third straight game without him. Okay. Now we don't know anything if he's injured or not. Okay. Keep that into mind. Now, would go ahead.
Considering the fact how quiet RGV has been with Juan David Cabezas lately, and given their history on how they handle injuries, it wouldn't be surprised to me that he's injured again. I don't have any proof, but
neither do I.
Going by historical context, I wouldn't be surprised if Juan David Cabezas is injured again.
I don't have any further proof, but if you have one big piece of evidence that would suggest otherwise, 3 straight games without him, possibly even 4 going into Sunday, who knows? But if you want the proof in the pudding, absent 3 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly feel like with his presence being missing, one just has to wonder, okay, if you're not going to have a Juan David Cabezas type character, do you readjust the defensive line towards you get Eric Pimentel to be the new Juan David Cabezas and experiment with the different center back and move Pimentel to be the next Juan David Cabezas? Who knows? But that's just one of those points where I kind of feel like the team is kind of missing that defensive stopper to kind of like restart the offense. That's just a very, very casual observation on my end.
Yeah. And I don't understand why the Toros are like that when it comes to injury reports. Jonathan Check tells me about San Antonio because I asked him about what was going on with PC, right, after the game. And he said San Antonio usually does not talk about or report injuries unless it's long term. So if they don't say anything about PC, that's good news. And inside of, I'm thinking, well, at least they get some sort of information about injuries, right? When with the Toros, I remember, what was it, 2017, 2018 season, when Aldo Quintanilla had to have injury or had to have surgery.
Yeah.
And somehow it's like we knew because of his Instagram post that he was injured, that he went through surgery. And every time there was the injury report and during the broadcast, injuries, none. Like, what? Like, that makes no sense. Like, why, even when when there's proof that this player is injured, why were the Toros / Dynamo so secretive about injuries? I just don't get it. Like, any other league, you get a report that so and so is injured, even if it was just that a practice injury, or just that, like, say un tirón, like, but you get a report saying, okay, this player was found to have this certain injury, he will be out for this number of days. Sounds like, okay, all right, cool, all right. But somehow in the USL, somehow in RGV, they're like, this is the Krabby Patty secret formula. Dude, don't let this come out to anyone at all, or we will release the Kraken on them. Like, it's not the KFC secret recipe, man. It's just an injury report, right? The world isn't gonna end if the fans know that certain player is injured. It's nothing out of this world. But that's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. It could be something within the organization or something within from what, as far as I could tell, the USL requires the teams to have an injury report. For them to display an injury report graphic on the broadcast means that the league requires them to report any injuries. But apparently the Toros are like, oh yeah, nothing's going on here. There's nobody behind this curtain, blah, 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 blah. Makes no sense to me. So
maybe they're still used to the way it was when they were under Dynamo's thumb. That's my guess.
And who was the coach of the Dynamo in that during that time?
No comment.
No comment. No comment. As the great Edson Ochoa once said, no comment. That's all I'm going to be saying about that. But come on, like, give us something here to talk. Like, if he's injured, okay, it's fine. We're all human. We all have injuries. We know Juan David Cabezas was usually injury prone with the Dynamo. If he's injured again, it's like, no, it's not like we're going to be like invading the pitch, demanding to see Juan David Cabezas, or going up to his house and no. It's a human thing for people to get injured for something or other. It's like, we can't get mad at that. We just want to know, okay, what's going on with the club? Why is this player who was touted as a very important player for this roster, why is he not even on the bench? And sure, probably people in the organization will be like, what do you care? Blah, 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 blah. But if other leagues, if other teams can do it, I don't see why the Toros can't do it.
Welcome to Lower League America, ladies and gentlemen, where injury reports are secretive to everyone.
Pretty much. But then again, this could also be, like you said, something to do with the lower leagues.
Anyhow,
to me, it doesn't make any sense. Let's turn the page. We're here to talk about the about the actual match.
All right. I'll open up with point number one. Tyler Derrick being the most important asset right now to our team. He's probably the only reason why this wasn't the 6-1 thrashing or curbside stomping of the Toros Saturday night. Shall we go over some of the more important plays he made?
Yes, sir. By the way, we are talking now about the 3 takeaways from the South Texas Derby, which you can find on the Striker Texas. So be sure to subscribe if you have the means to support local coverage. Continue.
So anyhow, 5 games into the season, Tyler Derrick is shown to be one of the more prominent keepers in the league. And you mentioned a couple of names from the East Coast.
Correct.
You mentioned 3 names from the East Coast, and what's really surprising that RGV hasn't had this good of a keeper since Callie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And why do I use Callie Brown as an example? Because Callie Brown had those same characteristics as Tyler Derrick did in the inaugural year. Yes, we've had Borja Angoitia. Yes, we've had
Callum Irving.
Callum Irving. And you could name all the keepers that the franchises has had. But if you're going to have a 1 and 2 keeper to solidify this franchise with, you'd go with Callie Brown and Tyler Derrick. Tyler Derrick being the more recent one because he's between the pipes right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I just got to feel that sometimes the defensive line has to help him out a little bit more. And what do I mean? And what do I mean by help him out a little bit more? When you lose a guy like Juan David Cabezas, not only is the defense being more prone to accepting more attacks, but this is where you have your D-Spez of the world to kind of like, instead of venturing and playing up front and trying to play more as a forward and try to be creative on the offensive end, let's shore up that back line first. Let's seal those gaps. Let's take care of those loose gaps that are open to keep any more cheap, soft goals to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to clean that up a little bit. We all know that Dispe can be a very nice player in this league, but I just kind of feel the responsibility of him is first and foremost be a true blue center back. And what do I mean by that? Do I mean stay back and be the last line of defense before Tyler Derrick has to come off his line and make an acrobatic save?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, but that's kind of like the feat that I want Dispe to play in. You know, don't be that last center back, but kind of be that one guy that secures any potential danger from reaching Derrick.
Can I add something to what
Absolutely.
you're talking about, Adrian Dispe?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Adrian Dispe and Tyler Derrick are carrying this defensive line.
And you're spot on.
Where is Eric Pimentel? Where is that experience? Let's look at Eric Pimentel's stats from this game. And I could be focusing myself too much on statistics, but I feel like statistically, I feel like statistics are kind of give you a hint about what's going on the pitch. Okay, Eric Pimentel, 1 duel won, 6 duels lost. Then you go to Adrian Dispe, 13 duels won, only 2 duels lost.
Exactly. That tells a pretty good storyline. Now, another thing that I want to like highlight here.
And real quick before you continue.
Go ahead.
Clearances. 2 from Eric Pimentel, 8 from Dispe. 1 interception, 4 interceptions from Dispe. 1 interception from Eric Pimentel.
Okay, here's the one thing I just want to highlight here real quick. Pimentel hasn't had much of the play time, which is why there's a big disparity. And I just think I just want to think
really?
that
Because not
Pimentel.
to,
Well, go ahead with your point.
because remember, Dispe was gone the first match.
Yes, he was suspended.
Correct. In the second match, he came in as a sub
Mhm.
in the 45th minute. That game, Eric Pimentel was the starter center back. So Eric Pimentel has more minutes than Adrian
Mhm.
Dispe. But somehow, Adrian Dispe has been a better performing center back than Eric Pimentel, who is supposed to be the experience, who is supposed to be, he's got Liga MX experience, CONCACAF experience. He might have a higher or a longer adaptability, so I'll give him that because he is pretty much it's his debut in the USL Championship. I'll go ahead and give him that, right? But if you look at the statistics, like I said, Adrian Dispe and Tyler Derrick are carrying this defensive line.
And you're spot on with that. And there is no lie detected there. I just kind of feel like if Pimentel doesn't get that shape together by the time Sunday night is over, I think we're going to have a lot more defensive questions than what we do answers, because we know what Dispe's capable about because he's played in the league. He knows the league. As far as Pimentel, that experience of playing with Club America and all that gets thrown out the window for a few instances until we kind of start seeing what Dispe is. No, until we start seeing what Pimentel's all about.
Cesar?
Well, at 17 saves for Derek, ain't he tied with one of the keepers from Memphis 901,
Yeah.
John Berner, right?
Yeah, so it's a 3-way tie for third between, actually 4-way tie, actually. Tyler Derrick, John Berner of Memphis 901, Connor Sparrow of the Miami FC, who we're going up against on Sunday, and Matt Van Okel of Birmingham Legion. They're all tied with 17 saves. They're behind Trey Muse and I can't remember off the top of my head who I believe are both tied with 22 saves.
Trey Muse and Alex Rando.
Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, kudos to them. That's a great amount of saves. But what does that say, about the back line? As I can't remember if it was you or Ray that said it. After that first goal for San Antonio, opened the floodgates for countless chances for San Antonio to equalize. Tyler Derrick was just, he redeemed himself from the El Paso match, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But, he shouldn't have to be that last line of defense. I mean, the best offense is the best defense, at the end of the day.
And I think my dad mentioned it when we were watching the game. He said, when your keeper is the star of the show, there's something wrong with your team.
Not to mention RGV, regardless of who's been the head coach, has been used to parking the bus countless games, countless seasons. But after seeing the San Antonio match, I actually was very, very surprised that they managed to equalize within the last few minutes of the match.
And it just goes to show, and I was telling my dad, like, where's the creativity of this team? I'm a little bit underwhelmed by Alexis Cerritos. I feel like for moments, especially in the first half and the beginning of the second half, he was kind of nowhere to be seen. I think it was when Azócar came where he started being a little bit more productive, in the midfield, trying to generate something. But other than that, we really didn't see him much. The commentators rarely mentioned his name. Josue Soto is another one of those players that I have so many questions about, considering he's another experienced player. You look at his stats for this match, and you see 26 passes, 84.6 passing accuracy. Okay. Duels won 3, duels lost 2, aerial duels 1. Okay. You're like, okay. All right. At least he won more duels than he lost, right? Then you look at Rodrigo Lopez. 56 passes compared to 26. Passing accuracy isn't as good as Josué Soto's, but remember, Rodrigo Lopez passed, more than double the times than Josué Soto, right? 75.8 passing accuracy in the opponent's half, and you can expect that from Rodrigo, who's a little bit more attacking-oriented midfielder. 12 long passes, 44 short passes. 6 duels won, 4 duels lost, 2 aerial duels won, 0 aerial duels lost. So, Josué, to quote Leonardo DiCaprio, those are rookie numbers, man. You got to pump those numbers up. And it seemed to me that the midfield was leaky, especially around the area where Josué Soto was. There's no sugarcoating this, guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat my opinion. Josué Soto was leaky around his area. Rodrigo Lopez, multiple times, including in the goal where Marcus Epps scored. Rodrigo Lopez was trying to cover where Josué Soto should have been. And when he did that, Adrian Vera, who had gone out to help on the attack, left a wide open spot where Cuello passed the ball between Pimentel and Rodrigo towards Marcus Epps, and there was really nothing Tyler Derrick could have done with that shot. But like I said, to me, Josué Soto should not be a starter. And considering how well James Murphy has been playing, considering the fact that this wasn't a midweek game that we needed to rest players with, considering this is a South Texas Derby, as Ray mentioned multiple times earlier in the show, why, Wilmer? Why did you try to experiment in an important match such as this? At the end, he decides, okay, you know what? Okay, Eddie Pimentel had to be subbed off for an injury. Okay. We brought in Carter Manley, usually a starter. Juan Carlos Azócar, he's recovering from an injury, so that one doesn't count from what I'm about to say. But it was a good substitution. He is definitely a starter in my eyes. James Murphy, starter. He's been a starter in the last couple of days. He was on the bench this time. Juan Cusain, technically a starter. Vicente Sanchez, obviously he's your revulsivo for the last 13 minutes. 3 out of your 5 subs, I consider wasted, because those subs should have been starting to begin with. And it seemed like Wilmer Cabrera maybe realized that he messed up with that lineup, brought in the actual starters, and things started to look a little bit better, but the catalyst was obviously Emil Cuello's red card in the 80th minute. And it caught San Antonio with their pants down, pardon the phrase, but it caught San Antonio with their pants down because they had just brought in, a couple minutes before, they brought in Jordan Peruso, who was an attacker. And I remember that the commentators were saying, it looks like San Antonio is going to want to go for the kill. They're going to go attack. Because if I'm not mistaken, to bring in Peruso, they took out Nathan. So it was a pretty much position to position change. But when you're 1-0 and you're kind of late in the second half, you have 2 options, they said. You either kind of want to keep that 1-0 lead and kind of bring in a defender to help defend, or you go for more. Alan Morcina decided he wanted to go for more. The red card comes in, one of your and so now you're left with 10. Well, now you have to sacrifice a striker or an attacker in order to bring in a defender. So I think the white cat brought a lot of good luck to the Toros. If you're superstitious, that white cats bring good luck according to superstition. So the good luck was for the Toros with that red card. Eventually, Juan Carlos Azócar, beautiful bicycle kick, which is being nominated for. I don't know. Did the voting end yet for goal of the week, or not yet? Or is it tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow.
Okay, so y'all can still vote on the USL Championship website for Juan Carlos Azócar for game of the week.
For goal of the week, not game of the week.
Thank you. But that's how amazing it was. Like it represents the whole game. But yes, goal of the week. And Tyler Derrick is also for save of the week. And that voting ends on Friday. So
transitioning on to Juan Carlos Azócar himself, let's talk about his introduction to the game, the efforts and the effects he had on the game. I think he's one of those players that, okay, you're coming off a long layoff, you're still not 100%. I just feel like he's gonna end up taking the place of either Cerritos or John Henry, but I eventually see him into the starting 11. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see him in the starting 11.
But why would you be wrong in that? I mean, he's shown that he's got the talent to be in the starting 11. And let's be honest, like I mentioned, Cerritos has pretty much been a letdown for the most part, performance.
Well, for me, this is where I'm going to fight you a little bit, Edson. I'm going to fight you here. Let us just remind ourselves how old Cerritos is. 20. Very minimal USL Championship experience. Okay, what other options that we have at this point? Amo had a red card. Baukar and Jai was the option going forward, and so was Cerritos. I mean, this lineup, like I said before, this was a lineup that you could have experimented with Miami FC. Okay. But I kind of felt like if you're going to let your players get experience, you got to like christen them through fire, even if it meant a South Texas derby. So I kind of felt like this was like hopefully a growing point for Cerritos, hopefully. And he kind of continues his positive play as a second striker for the second half type of player. But I think that this was like a good measuring stick of what we have with Cerritos just moving forward.
So from what I can tell, you're a lot more patient with Cerritos than I am.
Absolutely. I think so, because just remember, he only had like 3 total games and like less than like 60 minutes played in USL Championship. So I'm going to be a little patient on Cerritos. I mean, he's got a great skill set, but I just think they gotta lo tienen que pulir como si fuera un diamante en espera. You know, they gotta polish him up. They gotta rough him up a little bit. And I kind of felt like the roughing up came here against the Derby. So sporadic starts here and there, yes, but I like him a lot more coming off the bench for now and see where the learning curve grows with him.
Okay. What about John Henry Sanchez? What are your thoughts on his performance?
I like what I've seen so far. Obviously, if he starts against Miami, I may have to hold back. I'm not gonna be as patient with him as I am with Cerritos.
All right.
Only because I think he has a little bit more of that international pedigree. And yes, he's kind of new to like U.S. soccer standards, but that international pedigree has to start coming out sooner rather than later.
I feel bad for Cesar because we're like like it's just been like pretty much a dialogue between us two. But I want to hear your thoughts, Cesar, too. But before I go with that, let's compare the two: Ronald Cerritos, Alexis Cerritos, and John Henry Sanchez in this game. Passes 23 from Ronald from Cerritos. Okay. 7 from John Henry Sanchez. 82.6 passing accuracy for Cerritos overall. 57.1 from John Henry Sanchez. Passing accuracy in the opponent's half. 78.6 for Alexis Cerritos. 40% from John Henry Sanchez. 4 long passes attempted by Cerritos, 0 from John Henry Sanchez. 19 short passes only from Cerritos, only 7 from John Henry Sanchez. Duels won 7 versus 5 for John Henry. 4 duels lost for Cerritos, 2 for John Henry Sanchez. 1 aerial duel won for John versus 0 for Cerritos. Neither of them lost an aerial duel. On the attack, chances created 2 for Cerritos, 0 for John Henry Sanchez. No shots on target or off target for Cerritos. Only 1 shot off target from John Henry Sanchez. What do you make of those statistics?
Oh man. Go ahead, Caesar. I'll let you build up on this.
Caesar, you there?
Actually, I wanted to hear what Ray had to say first.
Oh, he's putting you on the spot, bro.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I'll build off of you.
Let's see. You know, John Henry, for having the international pedigree that he has, yes, the numbers are a bit underwhelming. Yes. Um, I I just feel that Cerritos will eventually grow. I just don't like him to be in that full starters role yet. Only because of the situation that the team has uh, faced with the red card and all. I kind of felt like Wilmer had to makeshift this offense just for this game.
Mhm.
However, if you're going to look at this at a long term, I, I don't necessarily see both fitting in. But if you're going to give me a choice between, if you're going to let me choose 2 from 3 between Cerritos, Sanchez, and Azocar, I am going to go with John Henry Sanchez, and I'm going to go with Juan Carlos Azocar. Only because I feel like Azocar has that ability to get in and wreak more havoc inside the box with Amo being that big center forward striker who you've been critical of, Edson. I kind of feel like this might be the one time where you kind of have the lineup of Amo, John Henry Sanchez, and Azocar kind of be the future front 3. That's just me.
Cesar?
Well, looking at the lineup that we had for the San Antonio match, who did we had? Who did we have up front again?
Babadou and Jai.
There we go. And isn't Amo usually the one who's starting?
Yeah, but he got red carded against San Antonio.
Yeah, that
Against
the
El
last
Paso.
San Antonio. Was it the
El
last San
Paso.
Antonio?
No, it was
Okay.
against El Paso.
Okay. Well, seeing as what Wilmer had to work with. Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
Did y'all hear that?
No, I said Babu Car.
Okay. No, I heard like a loud bang here. I don't know what the hell that was.
That's Wilmer Cabrera attempting to knock over my door.
I don't know if that was on yours or mine.
What'd you say about my lineup, Pooh? But continue.
Yeah. I'd have to go with Ray's initial analysis on what he said as seeing as the new, or not the new, but the new starting three that he said, which was, tell me again, Ray.
So up on top, you mean?
Yeah, up on top, I would John Henry Sanchez and Juan Carlos Osoca, followed by
no, but the one that started
Elvis Amo.
this game. Yeah, but in this game it was John Henry Sanchez, Babacar Jai, and Alexis Cerritos.
Yes.
Honestly, I would love to see Azorca get more starting minutes, seeing as kind of how he had that kind of domino effect or snowball effect towards the end of the game. Granted, it is when San Antonio did receive a red card. I don't know if that had, much to do. Well, what do you think? Do you think that had big influence towards the end of the game? Or
oh yeah, I definitely do.
So would it be safe to say that it's too soon to assume what Azorcar can do if he does start?
See, you say that, but even when it was 11 versus 11, Juan Carlos Azócar did cause a lot of damage on San Antonio. But in those instances, Azócar was playing out wide. And so there were multiple plays where he dribbled the ball past a couple of San Antonio defenders out on the wing, and they either fouled him or he passed it to someone else and they made a horrible cross or they lost the ball, right? The clarity outside of Juan Carlos Azócar, the clarity on the attack just wasn't there for the Toros. Even with 11 versus 11. That's my take on that.
Could it also be that this was barely their second home game in the season too? I mean, look at the form when they've been playing at home. Granted, the lineup has been more consistent too. There's a lot of variables that can go into this. With the starting lineup being different, whether it be a home or away match. But from what we've seen so far this season, it's been constant throughout the home matches, and the results have spoken for themselves.
So I want to mention, because I was gonna say Del Jr. like we have him on the chat. From Jacob. Jacob says Tyler Derrick saves the Toros from an embarrassing loss and finds a way to get it done on the road. I'm just not convinced with how the team plays on the road.
I'll take the lead on this. Just remember, this is our first set of road games of the season. Okay, we've already seen what the team can do at home. We're barely seeing what the team can do on the road. Now we're 1-1 on the road. Granted, those poor 20 seconds of Tyler Derrick and Luis Solignac are to be forgotten. Otherwise, we're either looking at 0-2 or 1-0-1.
Let's be honest, though, the way both matches went, the record I feel would have been the same, just flipped. I feel we could have gotten the draw in El Paso had it not been for that error, and I think we would have been beaten badly by San Antonio if it hadn't been for Tyler Derrick.
Exactly, and which probably brings up the next point that you're talking about, aside from Tyler Derrick, is kind of like the lack of finishing that our team has, which is why I kind of beg and choose for Azócar to be in the starting 11, because like I've said before, we've we've seen bits and pieces of Ahsoka in the limited runs that we've had him on. But now I just want to see what he can bring for a full 90 in the time that Ahsoka has been here. We haven't been able to see him for a full 90. I want to see like how the team and the attack will be effective for a full 90 when Ahsoka is on there, when you have a Sorto or a Cerritos or a John Henry Sanchez or an Elvis Ammo on top. That's kind of something that I want to see moving forward. How this team will gel in attack. Because granted, we're not gonna have a full Vicente Sanchez for a full 90. No. So quit thinking that.
I know a lot of fans would like to see that, but yeah.
It's just not feasible at his age, and people need to understand
Uh,
that.
I just hope that all of those fans that are clamoring for a Vicente Sanchez full night at sightings better have AARP cards somewhere hidden.
Oh, damn. Damn, bro.
Well,
Just to help them cover the expenses type thing. But I'm just kidding aside on that. But you know, if the Toros are to have some sort of progression here, I think they have to start here against Miami Sunday night.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're gonna be 6 games into our season, and we're still gonna have a lot more questions than what we are gonna have answers. And granted, this is just our first road trip of the season because later on down the road, guess what's coming up? Another 3 game road swing. And all of them are going to be involving divisional rivals. And that's the thing that kind of scares off a lot of the folks that either see this team or cover this team the way we do it.
So, looking at the chat right now, first of all, hi, chat. Hello. My dad says Cabezas is a leader on the pitch and makes a huge difference. Huge shout out to Johnny, the former president of the RGV Stampede. Thank you so much for tuning in, bro. Glad to have you back. Mike says, talking about Ahsoka, he says, no, because he showed same flash last year in the 2 games he played. And then Gilbert asks a question. I'm not sure if he's talking about just the season or overall. So if you can clarify that, Gilbert, I'd appreciate it. But he says, is this week going to be our first ever match against an East team?
I want to say no, only because in our inaugural year, we had to face St. Louis FC. They were an
Yes.
East team then. And then the following time that they saw St. Louis FC, yes, you can bring up F in the chat because they're no longer around. Yeah, I kind of missed that yo-yo theory of East-West thing for them. The last time that we saw St. Louis FC, they were a Western team. So in
Correct.
theory, this would be a second match against an East Coast team.
Mhm.
And it is not any fun to see them play because right now they have a pretty good little squad, and San Antonio fans might cry a little bit when I mention Billy Forbes.
Cut inside, man.
Yeah, but anyhow, to answer that question, it would probably be our second game against an East Coast team.
Good to know.
Ever,
Good
right?
to know. Say again?
I said it'd barely be our second match against an East Coast team ever in the club's history, right?
That's what he's
Yes.
saying, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay.
They're not even a mountain division. What division are they anyway? Miami.
Pacific, or not Pacific, Atlantic. Let me double check on you with that. Because I was looking yesterday. Oh, here we go. Standings. So Miami is in the Central Division. No, they are in the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference. They are second right now with 5 games played, 3 wins, 2 losses, with a +1 goal difference and 9 points overall. They are kind of like the Toros. They don't get scored often. They only have 5 goals against, but they don't score often either. They only have 6 goals in favor. So I think this upcoming match is going to be very defensive minded. Or I think the not defensive minded, but I do think that the defenses are going to shine, especially with the fact that you're going up against 2 goalkeepers that, like I mentioned, both of them have 17 saves so far this season in Tyler Derrick and as well
Jack Sparrow.
with Jack. Say that again.
Jack Sparrow. Sparrow. Oh.
This isn't
Pirates of the
Pirates of
Caribbean?
Yeah, exactly. I got a job a debt. I got a job a debt. I got a job. No. Anyway.
Edson's dancing show, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I'm having
Mira
fun.
quien
Okay?
baila.
Hey, I'm having fun. Okay, that's all that matters. You know. Okay. But yes, Connor Sparrow for the Miami FC also has 17 saves. So it'll be a good showdown between both goalkeepers.
Here's another interesting thing about this game. This game's going to be played on turf. So, advantage Miami FC.
Oh, let's not forget also the actual travel. That is going to count against the Toros as well.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but the kickoff time was moved up 1 hour.
To 5:30.
Yeah. So
so just to kind of end the talk about the South Texas Derby, 52.0% possession for the Toros compared to 48, 64.6 dual success rate between the Toros and San Antonio FC, 75.8% aerial duels won compared to 24.2. 20 interceptions compared to 18. And so, yeah, the Toros, because they had to defend a lot this match, you know, they looked better in percentage wise when it comes to these statistics. But I still think that the midfield was very leaky, and I hope to see more of James Murphy, and I hope that he doesn't get benched again, to be honest. So, to transition into our, I guess you can say, our final topic for today. If y'all recall, against El Paso Locomotive, we lost Grant Robinson due to an injury. I guess he pulled a muscle, but then again, we don't know exactly what happened to him because the Toros don't mention anything regarding injury, so we don't know exactly what's going on with Grant Robinson. But he wasn't available. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he was not available this past Saturday against San Antonio FC. Well, they had to put in Adrian Vera, who's technically more of a midfielder, to play in the left back position. So there was a lack of depth there, at least in that particular position. So today, the Toros announced the signing of Louis Ramsey, who is a defender with experience in the lower levels of the English Football League. So he is coming in from Billericay Town FC in the National League south of which is south in England. He was in Leicester City's under-23 squad in the Premier League 2. He is a product of Norwich City FC's academy, played for the Norwich City under-23s in 2014. See what else? Yeah, so he was actually he was actually also loaned to Woking FC in the National League. They played against Peterborough United in the FA Cup, where they drew against Peterborough United. So he has a lot of experience out in the youth system of England, and now he's coming to the USL Championship to kind of bolster up that defensive line for RGVFC. Your thoughts, Ray?
Again, this proves my point. With this signing, I kind of hope that they pair him with Dispe being the other center back, which would kind of open up that defensive midfield role for Pimentel. I kind of hope that happens. Do I see it happening? If I'm a gambling man, I say 70% no. And I leave that 30% cushion because football can be a strange games at times, and things just set themselves up for proper fittings. Okay, so that's what I kind of make with this signing.
So, according to Transfer Market, his main position is right back. He's also played as a left back and a defensive midfield. If we want to break it down as far as positions are concerned, let me see if I can find that particular page. But
this player profile defense, if that's going to be the case, then I can kind of see him suiting in either the left back or the defensive midfielder role, if that were such the case.
Yeah, so he has played 47 times as a right back, 22 times as a left back, 8 times as a defensive midfielder, 2 times as a right midfield, and only 1 time as a center back. So if I'm a betting man, which I'm not because I usually lose all my money, you can thank GTA Online and the time I went to Vegas for that. But if I were a betting man, I would say he is going to be the replacement for Grant Robinson from his injury.
I would have to agree with that assessment.
Because you got to remember, at the right back position, you already have Carter Manley and you already have Camden Riley.
Yeah, I kind of see that happening for now, until let's see how long that layoff will be for Grant Robinson. Also, you just gotta have to keep in mind that there's also no Juan David Cabeza. So where exactly do you place him in? Who kind of fills into that Juan David Cabeza's role, or do you just kind of stick with James Murphy and try to just run with it with what you have?
Yeah, that's something that is something to ponder about this this particular signing. Now, in the email, it does say, like it always does, his transfer is still pending league and federation approval. So it might be a while before we might actually see them on the pitch. Remember, we already have 2 Venezuelans that have yet to see minutes, and we don't know the status if their transfer has been approved or not. So it might take a while before we can see Louis Ramsey, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table, especially with his experience out there on the other side of the pond. But I guess we'll see what happens. Cesar, what are your thoughts on this?
It's so funny how we started this conversation about the back line and whatnot. Now we're gonna get a new defensive signing. And that was actually gonna be my next question. Will we see him with Miami? But obviously, as you said, no, it'll be a while. But will we see him for I want to say against Austin Bold, which is another Texas rival?
That seems a lot more that seems more feasible. I think I'm trying to remember who the two I know one of them is named Aitor, and he is a
Hector Lopez, he's a striker.
Aitor Lopez is a striker. Then you have Edwin, who is a defender. So you've already got two defenders that haven't played yet to bolster up the depth in the back line, which was what Ray was talking about a little while ago. So it will be interesting to see if maybe Edwin might be available for selection against the Miami FC on Sunday.
For me, if Edwin becomes available, it's going to be very interesting to see how they pair up everything, because you can put Disped now as a defensive midfielder while you have a center backs Pimentel and that other defender that still we don't know whether he's cleared approval from league and federation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario would be kind of to stick to what the team has used already. And I think one of the things that Romer, he doesn't necessarily hint or say anything about, but kind of have that squad rotation, of which I know that we don't like as fans, but it's just something that he has to freshen up to avoid injuries. And I think we're starting to see glimpses of that.
Well, I guess we will see what happens. But San Pedro Manzanas, let's give a huge welcome to Louis Ramsey to the 956.
Yep.
And hopefully he brings good things to the squad in this 2021 season. I have a question for you, Ray, from Code Awesome. He asks, is the transfer window closed now?
I guess the best way to kind of describe the USL's transfer market window, I guess it closes down September 1st. That would be like actual roster freeze deadline. So you're open to bring in players until then, because just remember, we're open. It's the summer market right now all over the world. Mm. So if a fourth tier team from Spain wants to take Dispel with them, they can, but they'll just have to pay the Toros whatever they're asking for. If case they want to take Juan Carlos Azocar, guess what? They can, because it's the FIFA transfer window is open.
Well, they'd have to ask.
Of course, they would have to agree to terms and everything like that. But yes, it's open until late August, which is basically the uniform FIFA transfer market deadline would be closed.
Yeah. So according to goal.com, for the Premier League, and that's usually around, it's a similar schedule kind of around the world for FIFA sanctioned or FIFA approved leagues. It starts on Wednesday, June 9th, runs for 12 weeks until Tuesday, August 31st. And that is usually the timeline around the world for the FIFA transfer market. USL, I don't think they're officially a FIFA league, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope.
So they kind of go by their own rules. And like Ray mentioned, that's pretty much the expected timing of the USL transfer window. So Code Awesome, I hope that answered your question. And guys, right now, the only thing left to ask y'all now is I want y'all to give, I wish we could talk more about Miami FC, but it's a team that just recently came into the USL from where
they have 2 seasons to play.
Yes.
NASL. That's where they came from, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
pretty much they're like one of the last de facto teams to have come to the USL for to play have a place to play. But if we're going into prediction time, Edson, I
Yes,
hope we
sir.
are.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna
I was
go with
hoping for that.
I'm going with an even Steven draw at one apiece to close
You,
out this road trip.
sir, you read my mind. I was gonna go with a 1-1 draw as well. Cesar, your prediction.
Like I've said once, and I'll say it again. Lots of variables here. We got a home match. No, we got an away match. We got. When I say away, I mean away. It's going to be on turf. Who's to say the lineup is going to be like our home lineup? But maybe seeing as the results from the previous 2 away matches, maybe they will be like our home matches, depending on who's available and whatnot. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 2-1 in favor of Toros.
Okay. Gilbert says in the chat 2-0 RGVFC.
Very brave of him.
It's funny though, before he says that, he says it'll be cool seeing owner David Beckham in the stands. Just kidding.
No.
You see, it's funny because you say that, but the Miami FC and Inter Miami like hate their guts, kind of like Austin Bold and Austin FC. Like the fan bases hate their guts like almost to death.
Does the Miami FC even have fans to question that?
Ouch.
Hello, Miami.
I think you can say the same thing about Inter Miami too, because it's,
Hashtag Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they still haven't built that awesome soccer complex that we're saying yet. So who's to say?
They did.
Already?
They built their stadium. They already have a stadium. Fort Lauderdale FC, which is their USL affiliate, is playing in Fort Lauderdale in a separate little stadium, I think. Which they got a lot of hate because they tore down a historic stadium, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
Correct.
Yeah.
I knew that name had some relevance.
Yeah, and a lot of people were so mad at Inter Miami because of that. But okay, guys in the chat, please continue putting in your predictions. Let's go to bold predictions. Cesar, your bold prediction.
3-0.
3-0 win?
3-0 win for Toros. It's not like they haven't played on turf before.
Ray. Okay.
Oh, man. Pasa la gran tragedia. Toros anota de último momento y gana 2-1.
Oh, who scores? Who scores the last minute goal?
Who scores the last minute goal? John Henry Sanchez.
Ooh. Okay. All right. My bold prediction. The Toros fall apart and we lose 3-0. That's my bold prediction.
Oh.
Man, you really love Billy Forbes scoring against Toros, don't you, Edson?
Got inside, man. I think he's got her number, if I'm not mistaken.
Him and Luis Solignac.
Yeah. So I wouldn't doubt it. He puts a couple of goals, or at least one goal past us. But the thing of the matter is just like I mentioned in my 3 takeaways, I said so far the defensive line, especially Tyler Derrick, has held us up. But what's going to happen when Tyler Derrick goes on a bad day, or the defensive line just completely crumbles because of a red card, or whatever? You're gonna get scored on what's the offense doing. You got it. The strikers have to help out your defensive line. They're doing the work to put you in a position to equalize or to win, which is what happened against San Antonio. Tyler Derrick left the Toros in a position to find an equalizer. and the offensive line just isn't doing their part, for this team. And you look at the past games, like the 3 at home, it was mostly the defensive line minimizing the dangers from the team, and with 1 goal or 2 in the case against San Antonio that they found, well, they were able to get the wins. But like I said, what happens if the defensive line doesn't show up? And I have a feeling, given the circumstances, the fact that it's a long trip to Miami, they moved it earlier, so you don't have time to adapt. You got to remember, Miami is a different time zone than Central Time here in McAllen, Texas. Jet lag, all of that stuff, it's gonna go into effect, right? I wouldn't say the humidity, because we live in the valley. It's super humid here too, just like it is in Miami. So I don't think that's going to be a big factor, but everything else I think it is going to be. And like I said, it's a bold prediction, so could possibly not, more than likely may not happen that they get a 3-0 loss. But I do think that given those circumstances, it might be more plausible for the Toros to get a loss rather than the win from what I've seen from the Toros. And that's just my analysis. You can at me on Twitter at @eocho_8, say if I'm right or if I'm wrong or if I'm stupid. You can go ahead and tweet at me. I love talking about soccer on my social media. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for tonight. Ray, where can they find you at?
They can find me at on YouTube at South Texas Border Sports. The podcast you can find on anchor.fm/STBS, where I've recently wrapped up the last episode of Edinburgh Baseball Stadium's 20th anniversary with the Sergio Queco Guerrero. He was one of the first local players to join the Edinburgh Roadrunners, aside from Eric Gonzalez. So you can find that podcast there. You can also find me on Instagram, South Texas Border Sports, and on Twitter at SOTX Athletics IX ending.
And before we go with the Cesar, Mike did leave his prediction. He says his regular prediction: Miami FC 3, Toros 1. Bold prediction: Toros 3, Miami score 2 in the first 45. We come back and a late goal again. So I guess he kind of followed in your footsteps, Ray, with that aspect. But Cesar, where can they find you at? Bless you.
Salud. Y'all can find me on my YouTube channel, which is as my name spelled, Cesar Cortez, and also on my Twitter. That's where I do most of my sports talk, at Court_EZ. And on my Instagram, which is another side thing I do, Courts Golfing. And those are the social media platforms you can find me on.
And of course, you can find the Down in the Valley social media accounts down there. We've got Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram right there, as at Down in the RGV. You can also find our website, ditbpodcast.com. If you guys missed any part of this podcast, as I mentioned, you can find the podcast version on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and any other podcasting platform of your choice. Let's see what else. Huge thank you to Beautiful Game Network for all of their support. Be sure to check out their sponsors, Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. And obviously, check out our personal sponsor, Natural Beauty Spa. If you like to get a facial or anything done for skincare, you can call my mom at 956-648-8586. She'll get you taken care of. I can guarantee all that. What else? Oh, that's right. Be sure to check out my articles at thestrikertexas.com. And, I do the game recaps, I do the takeaways, and if given the time, I can probably do like some sort of like breaking news or something like that But for sure, check out the game recaps and the takeaways at the strikertexas.com. Currently, there is a 30-day free trial, so be sure to check it out. If you guys like the coverage, you can subscribe after the 30 days. No, there is no obligation to do so. It's not only RGV, got San Antonio, who cares? Austin Bold, who cares? El Paso Locomotive, who cares? But also Houston Dash, Houston Dynamo, Austin FC, and FC Frisco coverage there as well. So support local Texas soccer coverage if you can. And also, just pretty much a huge thank you guys for all of your support. This show wouldn't be possible without you, let's be honest. You guys are here week in and week out, listening to us discuss about the Toros. There's different viewpoints. You see both sides of the coin or whatever. I've always said, guys, I don't want to teach you how to think, unlike some other people that I won't mention. But I want to teach y'all, or not teach you all, but would like to see you have your own thoughts. You make your own analysis based on the facts that the game presents. Like, I mentioned, okay, I don't like this certain player, and Ray tells me, okay, well, I disagree with you.
Womp womp. Batteries are dead, Edson. Batteries are dead.
Uh-oh.
Anyhow, Edson and I like to have friendly banters here on this show about players we like or dislike, as not personal preferences, but based on what we see and what we have available as a team. Now, granted, we may not have the Charlie Wards of the world. We may not have the Kyle Murphys of the world or the Zach Steinbergers, but it's friendly banter. We enjoy it, and we're here to have fun and educate the sports fans of the Rio Grande Valley and hopefully abroad as well. As Edson gets his microphone, he starts to connect. Ladies and gentlemen, he's bringing out the super cardioid Shure microphone. He's about to go on a karaoke type
La
thing.
vieja
And here he
confiable.
goes. Was that necessarily available for you, Edson?
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Qué triste fue decirnos. No, okay, no.
Well played, Jose.
Don't get me started, man. Don't get me started, because I will do it. No, anyway, guys, like I said, I want y'all to make your own analysis and spread the word of the Mr. Toro to all of your friends, to your coworkers, to everyone that you meet here in the Rio Grande Valley. I think the team has kind of grown in certain aspects. They've fixed some mistakes that they've done in previous years. They went out of their way to get some independence from the Houston Dynamo. So they want this team to be the Valley's team, and they're showing it. There's some people that disagree, saying that we want this team to be full of players from the Rio Grande Valley. Well, they have to show responsibility. They have to show commitment to being to the professional lifestyle. And if they don't do it, we're not going to put you into the team just because you're from the Valley. No, you have to earn it. And I think that's a lot of people don't realize this, especially those others from where. But yeah, just keep spreading the good word of the Toros. I appreciate all of your support. Jacob wasn't here, but he's very he appreciates your support to him as well. You can but on behalf of Jacob, we would like to say thank you. Cesar and Ray, thank you so much for coming in to talk on the show as well. You guys are always welcome every time. It's a pleasure to talk Toros soccer with you all, and it's a pleasure for us to talk Toros with you all as fans. So I do want to ask you all a favor, guys. When this live stream ends, spam the hell out of it. Spam the link the hell out of it on your social media. Let's spread the Down in the Valley podcast, and of course South Texas Border Sports coverage of the Toros as well. You know, with his practice interviews and post game interviews as well. You know, spread it around. Let's spread the word of Mr. Toro to the Rio Grande Valley. We've got a good product here, and now it's up to the fans to show up. So guys, huge. Oh, we got a message from Mike Reyes. They have a watch party on Sunday at Walk-Ons, which is on Trenton Road at 5 p.m. He's inviting everybody to go to join them for their watch party against the Miami FC. And to finalize, he says, puro pinche stampede.
Mike, I'll gladly take your invitation if and only if you pay my meal.
Ooh. Alrighty then. Cesar, it was a pleasure to have you back, bro. But that'll do it for today. Be safe out there. Take all the precautions necessary. We're almost out there. Things are starting to get back to normal. Stay hydrated, guys. Stay hydrated. And if you drink, don't drive, please. And I will say this. Don't drive 20 below the speed limit on the left lane in the highway, because I will honk at you. Anyways, having said this, bye-bye.